This is the Rugby Ascendant Podcast with Mvia Velman and Chris Wyatt.
The Rugby Ascendant Podcast, time to chat to Chris. How's it, Chris? We were just briefly chatting about the Springboks side. It was just announced for the second test against Pumas in Argentina, and you're not happy chappy. Tell me about that.
No, I'm not. In fact, based on performance in the mother city of Argentina this past weekend, and on the selection, I am in a defiance and protest, not wearing a Bucks 15 jersey, but rather I've switched to a Sevens jersey just out of protest.
Okay.
No, I'm not happy. I'm not happy. The selection of Monty Lubbock and Jaden Hendricks, not going to do it for me. I'm sorry, not going to do it. Stormers fan, but that is not going to do it. That's nope, not happy. The only saving grace for me is Kobus and Andre Pollard on the bench to come in and save the day.
Tell me about Marnie. There's a lot of talk about Marnie now. There's two different distinct camps. One is you can't blame Marnie, and the other one you can only blame Marnie. And I think the reality is somewhere in between. Marnie didn't lose us the game. He could have won us the game, but he didn't lose it. The team lost the game, let's be honest. But Marnie should have kicked that kick over. So you're thinking, what's Rassie thinking, giving him another chance? Rassie doesn't obviously bother to hear what we're saying because he's the coach. He knows better, and he does. But what do you think might be the thinking behind it? Maybe giving the guy a bit of a psychological boost, or does he believe in him? What's the story?
Well, the question with Monty Lubbock is how many games do we have to lose, big games? We're fortunate to win the World Cup because he squandered a couple of games for us during the World Cup. He squandered a lot of games in URC this past season for the Stormers. So, of course, I'm watching him all the time. Now, I didn't really know much about Monty when he came over from the Sharks, and he signed. A lot of people were critical of him, and I didn't know much, so I gave him a chance. And he came out that first season gangbusters with the Stormers and was unbelievable, and struggled in the beginning of the next season, but then came back strong. But then this season, he struggled through most of the season. And I wasn't impressed with his performance. The problem, as I said, with Monty is that he's fantastic at putting the ball on the wings and kicking to people at the right time, the right moment, so they get a breakaway and we can score a try. Well, that doesn't make up for some bad decision-making and some poor kicking. Look, a lot of people are blaming Monty for the loss. No, it's not Monty's fault. I blame Rossi Erasmus. Rossi is so smart, he outsmarted himself in this game. This is dumb selection, dumb performance on the pitch. Not very happy. And that people are going to say, whoa, you're very critical. Well, I should be critical. We expect the very best of this team. They have the best talent on the planet, and they should perform at the highest level every time. This game was a game that nobody wanted to win. The first 20 minutes, the Springboks, they're out there in less than 15 minutes, 17-0. They're just blowing the game away. And, of course, Argentina made mistake after mistake after mistake. Dumb penalties, offsides, not releasing tackle, dumb decisions, and then knocking the ball on. And then suddenly it just turned around. And it was before the yellow card when it turned around. But then the yellow card to Curtly Arnson, we need to talk about that too. I'm not going to complain about the officiating in this game. We need to talk about that yellow card. This is ruining the sport of rugby. Rugby is this nonsense. Anyway, but so with Monty, here's the deal with Monty. So people are blaming him because he missed a kick. I don't blame him because he missed a kick. I'm very angry that he missed a kick, but I do blame him for the loss in part because in the 63rd minute, we could have wrapped this thing up or at least got some points. Instead of kicking for the post at about 44 meters away, they chose to go for the corner and he kicked it dead. He kicked the ball dead. What is that? What are you doing? Are you trying to get it to the 1 inch line, 1 centimeter? Kick it down there. Just get inside the 22. At least we got a chance for some points. I would have kicked the points at that stage and gone ahead, but they didn't do it. They didn't do it. So that hurts, and people forgot about that. But frankly, this Springbok team did not deserve to win. And I would say that the Pumas didn't deserve to win either. They were atrocious. Yes, they were amazing. They scored 26 unanswered points, but then they were the rest of the game, as were the Springboks. Nobody wanted to win this game. I don't blame Monty for the loss, but I do blame him because we didn't win, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, he could have won us the game, but he didn't lose us the game. There's a differess. That's basically
correct.
Yeah,
100%. I agree with that assessment. 100%. Yep. But how many chances do we give Monty? I mean, honestly, you got to build his confidence. Really, we've got tons of young fly halves coming up. Ethan Wenzel. We got the guy down there with the Province. This young kid of Province. A lot of really talented. And Sia Masuka's out there. We've got Sanina Nohamba, doesn't have quite the distance, but then you can grab one of the wings who've got the great legs. And when Damien Willemse comes back, he can kick those long distance ones. But look, I mean, I'm not trying to be down on Monty, but how many chances does the guy get? This is very frustrating. I mean, nobody gave Mornay Sten this kind of chances. When the coaches were biased against him and he wasn't part of the selection for about a 5 or 6 year period, which would have made him the highest scoring Springbok in all time. They didn't give him any chances, and he didn't deserve not to have chances. So I'm a little miffed right now, and I think something's wrong here. But anyway, look. Rossi Erasmus is so smart; he outsmarted himself in Argentina.
You're going to get crucified for that statement.
Oh, I'm sure I am. I'm sure I am. God, and yes, I made a video critical of Sia Khaleesi once upon a time. So bring on the hate.
I don't know if you can say that nobody wanted the game. I think the Argentinians wanted to win that game. I mean, that stadium, number one, I expected sort of a high school stadium. I said it many times, like sort of bleachers and a couple of lost souls wandering around. That is an amazing stadium. I think the atmosphere inside there was been incredible, number one. And I think they played out of their skins. They played against I said C team, but I've been pilloried about that as well, maybe the B team. And they just managed to beat us, make no mistake. I mean, that was still a very close game. So, but I think they honestly wanted to do it. They didn't kick that well either. The new fly-off didn't do that well. I think he missed 8 points or something like that. But otherwise, he played exceptionally well. So it was, in that sense, yes, maybe. But I think of the two teams, the Argentinians were definitely the more switched-on team and the more motivated team. And I think to a degree, South Africa fell in the same trap as the All Blacks very, very almost fell into as well against the Wallabies. They underestimated the opposition. And the Springboks came up short, but the Wallabies, the All Blacks just made it.
I did warn this was a trap game, didn't I? I said this is a trap game, and I was serious about it. And that's exactly what happened. We fell into the trap, and Rossi outsmarted himself. I mean, it's yes, the Pumas were the better team of the day, but neither team was good in the aggregate. The Springboks, I mean, look, if you watch the Pumas objectively, they were atrocious in the first 20 minutes. I mean, they were just, it's like they weren't even in the game. I'm like, wow, man, this is going to be like a 60-0 game the way this is going. And then it just turned on a dime. And then that yellow card. Let's talk about the yellow card. Curtly Arendse. Look, I'm getting a little sick of this. This rugby union is being destroyed by the application of this. I appreciate player safety. It's fine. I appreciate that rugby is always taken seriously. The only sort of sport for the longest time they had the head injury assessment period time frame where they take someone out and review them and they can't come back if they don't pass a doctor. So, but this is ridiculous. Curtly Arendse was bent forward at the knees, making a legal tackle in the correct position. The player leaned forward down into him. The contact was in the shoulder and went up on the chin, and he gets a yellow card. And it completely changed the game. Completely changed the game. That is getting old. And then, of course, let's go back to Yasser Visa with the red card, that nonsense up there. Look, I appreciate it. Some of these are obvious, but we're giving out cards. I've seen a few games recently where officials have went with the TMO and looked at it and they've seen contact and they're like, no, there's, it's not a card. But the application of this law is ruining the game. Curtly Arendse should never left the game. It should have been a penalty at best, not a yellow card. And it completely changed the tenor of the game. That's not the reason the Springboks lost, not the reason they lost, but it certainly changed the dynamic. They lost all their momentum and they were discombobulated after that. And in the tries, they leaked some. It looked like the Bulls out there leaking tries. Sorry.
Shots fired. Directly at me.
Shots fired. Shots fired.
I'm ducking. Now, I wanted to talk to you about two things here, what you mentioned. The number one is the cards. The Springboks are now suddenly becoming a team that gets cards again. We did very well last year. We were sort of staying out of trouble, talking to the refs in a nice manner and, not being controversial or anything. We got a full-time referee consultant, call it that, in Jaco Paper to make sure that we don't, we don't go that way, give away more cards and the likes. Now we're getting more cards away than in quite a long time. And the other side of it is Argentina hasn't given one yellow card or red card this season so far. Their discipline is exemplary for a team that's supposedly emotional. That they're doing quite well, and we're actually the ones on the back foot in terms of the discipline side of it, don't you think?
Well, I agree 100%, and it's very disappointing, as you said. They have reached out to Jaco Piper, a brilliant referee in my view, and they shouldn't be making these mistakes. But again, that card was just unjust in my view. There are plenty of them that are just that are out there, but that was unjust. So, just saying.
Right. The other thing you talked about was our defense. And I want to talk to you about our defense a bit. There's a lot of controversy at the moment about, is the Jerry Flannery system working as well as the Jacques Nienaber system work? Because we are letting in a lot more tries than we did under Jacques Nienaber eventually. And the difference here is, think back to the first 2 years of Jacques Nienaber's reign, if I want to call it that. We didn't do that well in defense either. Is it maybe a question of just settling into this Jerry Flannery thing? Are the players not really understanding it or committing to it or doing what they should be doing? Or is it a more fundamental problem with defense under Jerry Flannery, do you think?
I don't think it's the coaching. I think, honestly, it's the rotation system of bringing players in constantly and constant lineup changes. I mean, some of this stuff just doesn't make sense. We're moving people around all the time. And we saw it in a game earlier. We won this season in which, we had Peter Steph Dutoy playing everything except a tight head prop. But that was because of necessity. But we're seeing some unnecessary changes and players. Look, I appreciate trying to get players test, but you don't make 10 changes just to make 10 changes. You make 10 changes because it's the right choice. And I think that's what's contributing to some of this leaky defense. Players are either out of position or not accustomed to be able to count on the same player that they played with and practiced with consistently. We're not seeing consistency in a Springboks lineup, and that is contributing to the leaky defense, in my view. I think that's the biggest problem, not the coaching.
Yeah, I agree with you. And Andre Pretorius also agrees with you, what you said there. He said, for example, when Currie was off the field, Andre was defending in Currie's channel. And Andre missed a very significant tackle there. And that led to a try, number one. Secondly, was playing at 12 that he's not used to. He's a 13 mostly, even though he did start his career as a 12, out of position, like you just said. And I think that all of that, like you just said, being out of position, not being used to the player that you're playing with, and that just put everybody under pressure, and that yellow card didn't help with that at all. That's where the leaky defense comes from.
I think so. And let me just give an example. I'll use basketball as an example, and I'll use the current thing. Caitlin Clark, the basketball phenomenon, female who's playing in the WNBA, started her season as a point guard, and she had so many turnovers. She was setting records for 6, 8, 9 turnovers per game. That's atrocious. But by the mid part of the season, that turnover ratio had gone way down. And then she led the WNBA in assists as a rookie, set the record for the most assists in the league ever. And what I'm getting at is it's kind of like when Michael Jordan was out there. She knows where a player is going to be. Now, they don't always make the basket because they're not the best players, but they have worked together. They know to trust. She knows when she gets that rebound, that defensive rebound, she looks up court. She's got someone breaking, a forward or the other guard is breaking, and she puts the ball right on the spot. And it's the same thing with defense. When you see players playing in a man defense in basketball, or they're playing, in a zone, you have to trust that the other player is going to shift when players move around. And that's not there right now because they're not working together all the time. They don't know that they don't know blindly. It's like ice hockey. There are players in ice hockey. Gretzky got so many assists. He set the record for assists. Half the time, I bet you he didn't even look at where he's passing the puck because he knew he could count on that player being in that spot. He knew where to put it because he knew the timing. He knew the distance. He knew where to put it. And it's the same thing here. Players out of position or a little bit out of sorts. It only takes a second, just a brief second to get that line break, and then you're toast. We saw it this weekend. So I think that's what's contributing to the leaky defense.
I wanted to ask you, you mentioned in the beginning we led 17-0 after, 12 minutes or something. And then suddenly we just sort of went to sleep. What happened there? Why did we lose that? It looks like we lost concentration maybe, or something else went wrong, or maybe Argentina just clicked. But what do you think? What was the pivotal thing there, the inflection point almost, that changed the game? Something happened there. What was that? Apart from the yellow card now. I mean, the yellow card was obvious, but there was something else. It happened before the yellow card happened.
Yeah, it was before the yellow card, and it's hard to pinpoint it. I'd have to go back and watch the tape again and watch the demeanor of the players. I think that would help describe it. But I agree, they went to sleep. And one thing, look, I'm the guy that, in a test match, you take the points and offer. If they're easy points, you take the points and offer. And they did it. But I actually was caught off guard. Given the momentum and how quickly and how easily they were scoring, I thought they'd try to put them away and kick it to the corner, and get another rolling ball in there. I was a bit surprised the Springboks went for take the 3 points. Normally in a game, I'd say, if this is the All Blacks, take the 3 points, okay? France, take 3 points. And this time I was like, go for the try. We got to put the nail in them. We're on the road. And they didn't do that. And I think, honestly, that's where it began to turn. I don't know if players like, okay, we'll just score when we need to, and they just sat back on their feet. But going back to the video and watching the demeanor of the players in about a 3 to 5 minute stretch right there might give us the answer. But remembering it in real time, I was just astonished at how quickly it all fell apart. I mean, the wheels just came off completely.
What you mentioned there is going to lead to my next question. Somebody took the decision to go for posts rather than go for the corner. and that's typically the captain. Now, to me, the captain on the day was absent. You saw Montoya talking to the ref all the time. The ref actually took to heart to some of the things that Montoya was telling him, and he looked at it afterwards, and it led to tries and the likes. Murat was not there. He wasn't present either in his game or as a captain. I think he had a, to me, he sort of showed that he doesn't really belong there, in my opinion.
Well, this is going to draw some controversy, and I'm a Province Stormers fan, but I'm going to be honest here. Before his multitude of injuries, Salman Mora is an incredible upcoming talent. He's still a good player. He's a decent lock, but I don't think he's a Springbok lock right now, and I certainly don't think he's a captain out there. I didn't see it when he played with Stormers being a captain. I don't know why he's being groomed for this position. He's clearly not up to the task. And this is like, let's bring people. It's like the Mani, paycheck program. It's the Salman Morat paycheck program. People are going to slam me for this. Look, I don't dislike the guy, but much like we talked about with the Bulls, I like Ron Notkia, but when he was in the role of captain, it affected his game. He wasn't the same player. He didn't accomplish. Now look at him playing up there with the Springboks. He is holding his own, and he's had some incredible performances of late. This guy deserves the Springbok jersey. At times, I'm like, he doesn't deserve a Bulls jersey the way he's playing when he was in the role of captain, but he's there. Salman Morat is not up to it. We had plenty of options. Lukanyu Am could have been the captain out there. There are other choices out there that could have been the captain. And it's not just going to the official. A lot of people talk about that, about captaincy. Well, he didn't go to the official. That's part of it. But being the captain is bringing your players together, motivating them in critical moments. When that all fell apart, if I'd been the captain, I'd been grabbing guys by the collar. Come here. That was your tackle. You missed it. You were out of position. Get your bum over there. Yada, yada, yada. Okay, guys, come on. Look, we gave up 2 tries. Kurt's on the bench. Kurtley's on the bench. It's going to be okay. Let's just calm down. But that didn't happen. It was non-existent. That's what a captain's supposed to do in every game, in every sport. It's not just a letter you wear in your jersey. It's just not something you put on your CV. You earn it. You deserve it. And look, sorry to pick on Salman Morat, but not up to the task. Case closed. Argue against me. Flame me. I don't care. That's what I'm going to say. This was part of the loss too. And I have not really focused on that. But since you brought it up, yes, absolutely. Salman Morat was not up to it. And going into this game, there's a lot of positive press. Salman wants to prove that he's worthy. Well, he certainly didn't prove it on this day.
No, well, it's a valid point. A lot of discussion about it, and I think it's not the end of it. All right, let's talk about this upcoming game. The Springboks have to win this one. I mean, if we end up on equal points, lock points, and Argentina, which means Argentina wins the game and they get 5 points and we don't score a bonus point, then they're going to win the championship because they won more often against us, I read this morning. Not going to be about points difference. So we have to make sure we win this game. It should be a walk in the park with the team that we just saw, but still, it's going to be tough.
Not entirely. If the Bucks get a bonus point, it's over. If they
finish with a bonus. I said if
I did. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They have to get a bonus point win, and we have to get nothing. Then if we end up equal, they win the championship. Yeah.
Well, if it's a draw, we win.
No. If it's a draw on points on the log, which means they got 5 points.
No. Okay, no. I'm talking about the score of the game. I thought you meant if it's a draw. If we wind up 29-29, we win.
Yeah.
Because we get 2 points on the log.
Yes.
And they get 2. And we wind up with 21, they wind up 16.
Log points,
but look at the log right now. I'm just really angry. I mean, Argentina, well done for them. They beat the Wallabies, the All Blacks, and the Springboks in one season. Wow, that's an incredible accomplishment. Not many teams can claim that ever. That's well done by the Pumas, particularly since they don't have Super Rugby anymore. They're not involved in that, so they're not getting bloody like they used to be. They're not involved in the URC or Premier League or the French League. Some of their players are, yes, that's true. In fact, some of their players are actually abroad now playing for URC teams, not with the national side. But this is really impressive on their part. But I'm just really angry. Look at this. It should be 5-0 and 2-3 and going down. But instead, it's 4-1 and 3-2 in the log. And that's too close for comfort. Look, the Springboks are going to win this game running away. And if they don't, I'm not cutting up my Springbok jerseys, but I'm definitely going to find a way to contact Rossi Erasmus.
I want to talk to you about the bench. It's a 5-3 bench. And the third back is Lukanyu Am. How does that work?
Yeah.
Where do you see him slotting in as part of the bench?
Oof, well, that's a good question here. I guess it depends on whether there's an injury or not. That's the first thing. If we have any injuries and somebody goes out for an injury, he may have to be flexible, move around, move to any one of the center positions or on the wing if necessary, or move someone that's on the pitch out there. I'm not sure. I mean, this is an interesting. We definitely have some guys in the middle there, and we should have some good replacements to fight this scrum here. But I don't know. Look, Lukanyam was absolutely the best player in the world at his position at 13 for several seasons there. I don't know if he's lost a step or maybe it's because he was playing out of place last time, but it's not the first game where he's just doesn't seem to be in the game. So I'm off the bench. I'm not sure. We'll see what he'll do and how he'll do. I think it's an unknown that will have to be explored on Saturday.
Yeah, sure. I think it's a proper bench though.
Well, yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
One of the things that bothered me about this game last weekend was the bomb squad wasn't the bomb squad. They didn't bring on the entire front row at one time, for example. They brought him on piecemeal. So it didn't have the effect that the bomb squad normally have. And I would think this time they're going to say, right, Ox and Bongi, everyone come off. We're going to put this entire new front row on there, and then we'll see how Quagga and Elrich does. But I mean, this to me is a proper bomb squad. We're going to see a difference. And I think Argentina is going to feel it, yeah. It's going to be a different ball game to last weekend.
I agree. And listen, I'm a huge fan of Malcolm Marks, but let's talk about his performance in the lineouts. Atrocious this past weekend. We didn't mention that. His lineout performances were not good. We lost.
I think it was locks.
I think it was a combination. I mean, his throw-ins weren't particularly great. Anyway, I wasn't impressed with his performance last week. But yeah, coming off the bench here, I mean, look, Malcolm Marks is fantastic starting or fantastic off the bench. Vincent Koch seems to be strongest coming off the bench. He really does. Steenekamp is a newer guy up there. He's only got 7 caps, and he's still proven himself, but he has proven himself. So I think that's a great bomb squad for bringing them all in at once. And then Elric Lowe and Quagga Smith off the bench, I think that's fantastic. Elric is proving he can start, but Quagga it seems that he's best off the bench, and he's an impact guy, both those guys. And that's what you need, especially when you start to wear down the other side and you're at home. And it's kind of at altitude. It's sort of at altitude there, but whatever the case is, you need those fresh legs and impact guys coming off the bench, and that's definitely what this bench is. I mean, you've also got when it comes to speed, let's be honest, Kobus is faster than Jaden Hendricks is. So when you replace Hendricks, you're going to have more speed out there. Yeah, I know you're smiling because I don't like Hendricks. I love his brother. I love Jordan, not because of 60-meter kicks. I've always liked Jordan Hendrickson. So anyway, just saying.
Just one thing about the altitude. Remember, it's low veld there. It's similar to
yeah, but it's also not sea level.
No, it's similar to sea level because you even see the petrol you put in there is higher octane than it is up here.
Yeah, so you doesn't knock the engine when you get up higher.
No,
I had that happen.
Yeah.
I had that happen to me. I was in Yellowstone in 1989, going back in the Army, traveling across the country, and the gasoline was, I thought, very expensive at the time because I didn't have a lot of money. So I bought the low octane stuff. I think it's like 85 or something like that. And I'm climbing up the mountains. And my engine's like
complaining. Yeah.
It was struggling. I thought it was going to stall out, man. I had to stop at a petrol station to get some high octane gas just to mix it up so I could get into the mountains. But woof, that was a lesson learned there. It was a long time ago.
Okay, Chris, enough about the Springboks. The Currie Cup final was this past weekend, and it was upsetting for a couple of people, including yourself. Tell me what you saw.
Well, at the end of the day, it was upsetting because I'm just frustrated. I mean, people just don't want to win games. That's kind of annoying, or they make dumb mistakes. I am, people know, a Province fan, so let's get that clear. So, I mean, it's not like I was crying big crocodile tears, but as a rugby fan, I was a little annoyed and disappointed. So I have to say this, it has to be probably the most interesting, boring 0-0 halftime game I've ever watched. A lot of people left because it was 0-0 at halftime. Nobody wanted to win this game. There was nothing positive going on from either side. Dumb mistakes, poor discipline at times, and just a lack of flair. It was really, ugh. But in the second half, the game stayed that way for a while. Even at 50th minute, we still didn't have any points. There was a scrum penalty, and Siamasuku took a shot at goal finally because they both sides like, no, we're kicking the corner. I'm like, do you want to win this game or not? At least get 3 points on the board. None of them would take the points. And the 50th minute, finally, Siamasuku steps up and he kicks it, and he's wide of the mark. So I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a 0-0 finish. We're going to have to go to extra time in this thing. But then it got a little bit exciting. It really got exciting. And the problem I have with this is the finish. Okay. Let me talk about the finish here. So The Sharks, or excuse me, the Lions miraculously get a penalty on their side of the pitch. I'm like, whoa, yeah, okay. At nearly the end of the game, the Hooters about to expire. Like, man, all right, they're going to win this after coming back, and they took a 14-13 lead. And like, they're going to win this thing. So all they got to do is kick it into touch, secure the line out, kick the ball into touch. Game's over. So the Lions come down the pitch on the Shark side. It must have been down past the 10-meter line somewhere. And they do the line out. They get it. Like, yeah, okay, the Lions are going to win this thing. We're over the Hooter. You can see it's like 80 minutes, 34 seconds. We already heard the Hooter go off. Of course, we all know it's the officials' watch on the field, but maybe it's not synced properly. And so they start driving them all. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Where are you going? Oh, got over here. Hey, what's going on here? Did I forget how rugby's played? And the scrum half looked at the official once or twice, and I'm not sure if he's asking if the clock was done or whatever, but next thing I know, the thing collapses and they turn it over. I'm like, what have you just done? Did I forget how rugby's played? No, I wasn't wrong. The Sharks admitted they're stupid or the Lions admitted they're stupid after the fact. So the Sharks get the ball, and they're deep in their territory, and they give up territory to them, and then they wind up 10 meters short of the midfield. They win a penalty, and Jordan Hendrickson, former Lion, comes out and cleared the bar by at least 4 or 5 meters and breaks the heart of the Joburg faithful. What a finish. Congratulations, Jordan Hendrickson. You won that game for the Sharks, but the Lions choked and gave away victory. I cannot believe they gave the game away. And I'm searching news reports the next day afterwards, looking at am I wrong? Did I forget how rugby's played? The ball should have been kicked into touch. The game's over, right? And I was correct. I don't know what happened there. That's some dumb player decisions on the field. You can't blame the coach for that one.
No, you can't. But interesting you say that. To me, the Sharks were dominant. I mean, they made the most running meters. They made the fewest tackles. They slipped the fewest tackles. They led in 2 tries rather than the one that they scored. But the point is, they just basically did all the playing for the day, and the Lions were just defending all the time. And the Lions almost pulled it out of the fire, but it wasn't any sort of an advertisement for the Currie Cup, the way these two teams played. Maybe it was because of the tension of the final. And something we mustn't forget, it was unbelievably cold on Saturday. One of my friends was in the stands and he said his glasses were freezing over. It was that bad. It was the real field temperature was like 0. It was bad. I wonder how much of that affected the players.
Well, we play football in temperatures below freezing with snow, so I have no empathy.
But you're used to it. You're used to it. There's a big difference. This is Africa, bro. This is not America. We're not used to snow.
Oh, look, all we have to look at Van Reenen Pass and the snowfall this past week to remember that it is Africa, and people try to drive in that snow without chains and don't know what they're doing and clogging the roads up. Oh my goodness! Luckily we didn't have a bunch of fatalities.
They were caught out. I mean, I would have driven to Durban at school holidays. Remember, people going down to the coast for a holiday, and you just drive over Van Reenen, and next moment you're stuck. It's not like they went there intentionally. I mean, you don't expect that kind of a thing in South Africa. This doesn't happen. It happens It was 43 years ago. It snowed in Joburg last, from I remember. Not last. It snowed in 2012 as well. But the point is, it happens so rarely, and when it does, it's this bad. Yeah, people get caught out. And I think maybe the rugby got caught out about a bit as well. I mean, it's really bad. I don't want to play there.
No, I did. Look, I was driving from Durban back in 2000 up to Joburg, and I left. I was wearing my shorts, stopped for petrol. And the next time I stopped, I think was probably Joburg. I drove the whole way. I was able to make it after going from Pietermaritzburg. But after I left Pietermaritzburg, it was already starting to get cold. The temperature dropped. Even though it was balmy down on the coast, but 100 kilometers in, it was already getting cold. But anyway, so I keep going up, and then by the time I got to the Moy River Plaza, it had been snowing for some time, and there was about this much snow on the ground, and people were pulling over. They didn't know what to do. That was smart. I kept going because I'm familiar with the weather. I just had to make sure I got through Van Reenen Pass because, no trucks stopping me. Back then, the rails still worked. There weren't that many trucks on the road. So I was able to get through there, and I drove all the way to Joburg. I got to a hotel. I popped out. I walked inside. It was freezing there for South Africans. I was okay. And I walked in my shorts, and the guy I'm checking is like, "Sir, you okay?" I'm like, "Why? What's wrong? Aren't you cold?" I'm like, "No, man, it's nice out there. I just drove through the snow."
Don't you have a pair of long pants? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, no, I did have long pants, but I was wearing the court.
No, the guy probably thought that. Yeah, if you don't wear long pants today, you don't have any. So
I should I should have said that. No, I just came through our Tambo and they stole my luggage.
Yeah.
That's what I should have said.
It's
Yeah.
like in South Africa when it's really cold, it's really cold when the guy wears 2 pairs of shorts. That's how we
Yeah,
use it.
exactly.
Yeah.
But no, look, to be fair, you're correct about this. The Sharks definitely were on the front foot in the first half. I mean, they had 70% advantage in possession in that first half. And you're right, the Lions made twice as many tackles. But the Sharks just kept screwing up. Every time they got close, they make a dumb mistake, But I do want to talk about one standout in this game. I mean, there were some good plays in this game, and Hendricks won that game for the team in that miracle finish. But Andre Esterhuizen, oh my goodness, he was a beast, absolute beast out there. 13 carries, 100+ meters, like 3 line breaks. He beat 4 defenders. He had a big assist on that one try that Sharks had. And he didn't miss any tackles. He was the guy was in fine form. And he looks like he's 22 again. I don't know what the haircut or he lost a pound or two, but Andre Esterhuizen looked good. I'm like, he should be back in the Bucks. He's playing like this.
Well, he played very well for the guy that's supposed to be out for 3 months, don't you think?
Yeah. Oh, I thought it's amazing. It was really, really, it was great. It was his performance. He was my man of the match. I mean, he was my man of the match when it was like 0-0. He was my man of the match when the Sharks were going to lose the game. He was still my man of the match. Because nobody on the Lions impressed me. Except maybe Darian Landsberg, maybe.
The subtext that I'm saying is you're supposed to be injured, yet they play number 13 at number 12 in Argentina, and he's playing for the Sharks in a Currie Cup final.
I know where you're going with that.
What's going on here? It's funny.
Well, Rossi is outsmarting Rossi again.
There's something more to it. I would love to know what the story is. I don't want to spread conspiracy theories, but I mean, there's something's not right here. Andre deserves to be at number 12 if Damien can't play. I think Damien's still the better 12, in my opinion. But Andre is definitely better than at 12. But yeah, let's leave it
100%. 100%. And he really, man, he took it to the Lions out there. It was that was a great performance. So yeah, like I said, with the Sharks losing that game in the final minute, my man of the match, I did a poll for my viewers, was he was my man of the match. Yeah. Speaking of which, let me real quick say, listen, to people who've come to watch my live play-by-play and color commentary as a consequence of the conversations we have here, bye donkey, thank you very much for coming. MV and I were talking. We had an epic weekend this weekend, 127,000 views on my Rugby Ascendant channel. We had 86,000 live viewers on the Springbok test match in Argentina. And then afterwards, it's now over 90,000 people popped in. Yes, I know a lot of those people are just looking for a free television broadcast to watch the game because they can't afford Super Sport or whatever. But we had an audience of over 2,000 live viewers for a consistent period of time. It was fantastic. It was a lot of fun. And then the same thing with the Currie Cup. We had a huge audience for the Currie Cup. And that I didn't know the Springbok game was going to blow up like that. So I'm really ecstatic. I'm chuffed. But I was very excited about the Currie Cup because I've been covering Currie Cup on this channel for 3 years now. And I've been trying to get people to go there and listen. And the finals, I was like, I got like 50 people watching, maybe 1,200, 2,000, 3,000 views in the first and second season. But this year, the Currie Cup audience has been much better throughout the season. And then for the Bulls province game, it's always been high. And then the semifinals with the Bulls was unbelievable. And then this one here was fantastic too. North of 30,000 views. It's amazing. I'm glad to see there's interest in the Currie Cup again. I'm just a little disappointed in this final because, as you said, it really didn't reflect the brand of rugby that these two teams played during the season. And it wasn't necessarily a good advert for Currie Cup going forward. I think the 40-40, nobody wants to win in Loftus was a better ad for Currie Cup the previous week than this was. But hey, it's done and dusted. And I think playing in this time frame works pretty well. I think it worked out pretty well.
Talking about the Currie Cup, as a prelude to the URC, what does it tell you? These two teams, the Lions and the Sharks. Let's talk about them. Does it bode anything positive for them, or do you think it's just it's still going to be a ho-hum season for both of them? I mean, the Sharks started out woefully, and they ended up winning the only 2 trophies of any South African team, for that matter. But they did well, coming to where they started.
Oh yeah, they were absolutely atrocious in URC this season, and they were okay they were better than okay in the Challenge Cup. I mean, their wins weren't mostly very convincing, but they did win the Challenge Cup, which was great, and then so that was impressive. And they started the season at Currie Cup amidst the Challenge Cup stuff just wrapping up, and went winless, 0-3, and they weren't very good games when they came out. And then they got a win, the Lions. They only lost the Lions' head during the season, regular season, and then they got a draw. And I'm like, okay, maybe they can do something. And then they won and won and won. So the last 7 weeks of the season, basically from the third week of the season, they didn't lose because they won those 6 games and drew once, and then won the semifinal, won the final. So I mean, they finished basically 8-0-1 on the season. And so it's incredible. Listen, here's the thing. So it's a dual-edged sword. The other URC teams don't have warm-up games or domestic tournaments that are preparing them for the URC. So in one respect, South Africa's squads have an advantage. They can blood young players like Ethan Wenzel and get other players out there and see how they're doing. Like what's his name there? The guy on the Pumas, but not the Pumas, but the Griffins. Is it Gershwin, whatever? But anyway, my point is that Gershwin Ware. Yeah, that's the guy. So Gershwin Ware. So you can blood players like that, and you can test them and see, and they're getting experience, and then they can be called up for a URC side for the season. But the flip side of that is that you can wear players down if you play them too much, because it's long. It's 18 games for URC plus 10 here. It's 28 games. And if any of them actually happen to be a Springbok too, woof, that's another mix in there, plus the Challenge Cup. So you could wear players out if you don't manage it well. And then you also run the risk of injuries. You do run the risk of injuries. So I like that the Currie Cup is there. And I think overall, it's advantageous for the South African URC sides to have the Currie Cup. Going into this season, I've seen that Planet Rugby analysts said that the Sharks will make the final and Leinster will win it. Okay, all right. That seems not implausible. The Lions, in my view, will make the playoffs finally. They'll have a winning record and they'll make the playoffs. That's my view here. How far they'll go, I'm not certain. The Bulls will make the playoffs, have a winning record. The Sharks will make the playoffs, have a winning record. How deep the Sharks and Bulls go depends on dynamics that we can't predict at this stage, and then injuries that may or may not occur. The team I'm concerned about in URC is my team, the Stormers. I have no idea what they're going to look like, especially after this Currie Cup season, in which they test a lot of young players. I don't know what we're going to see out there, and I'm actually concerned. The Stormers have gone to 2 finals in the first 2 seasons, and they went to playoffs again this past year, despite having a bad season. I don't know what's going to happen. I need to have a conversation with Dobby, and somebody needs to get me his contact details so I can get him on and talk about what he's planning for the season, because I'm actually, as a Stormers fan, I'm a bit concerned for the season. But the good news is that I'm a South African rugby fan. So if the Stormers don't win, as long as the South African side is there at the end of the day at Loftus, unfortunately, not scoring 2 meters out, and I'm standing right over the damn play. Anyway, just saying.
Don't go there.
I know that was painful. That was painful.
Yeah. Last week at the semi-final against the Sharks, it was equally painful. We didn't even lose the game, but we lost the tournament. I mean, that's terrible.
Well, look, you're right, MV, but I wasn't there last weekend, so I was there.
I'm always there. I'm always taking pain.
Well, I don't have that luxury of living in Pretoria, but for me, it's a pricey trip. But the quarterfinals were fantastic. With that little shopping center and hotel right next to the pitch there, people afterwards, hung out after. Was it after the quarterfinal, semifinal with you guys? That was a lot of fun. It was one of those games.
Quarterfinal.
Quarterfinal. And the semifinal, you guys bailed on me, so I found other people to have fun with.
No, it's the other way. So it was a semifinal. Yeah, the semi.
Okay, then I got it backwards. Yeah. We hadn't done it yet. Yeah. Okay. So you guys didn't bail on me, but then the final, when I came back, there was no one hanging around for beers. It all got home.
Yeah, that sucked. But remember, it was so late. You had to leave. Remember, in the press conference, because it was so late. Jake took 2 hours to come out. It wasn't good. You had to leave. Yeah.
No, you're right. I didn't stay for the press conference because I had to get my car, because I had to park on the street and I was worried it was going to be broken into because all the police were leaving. And so the previous 2 games, there had been smaller crowds, and I was able to get there because I'm coming up from Northcliffe. I think it was that day. I had some other stuff. And the previous 2 times I got up there early enough in the day that I could drive into the hotel parking. But this time the road was blocked. I couldn't get there. So I had to park down the street. That's why I had to leave for the press conference, because it was taking a long time. And look, it's a hire. I'm not going to be paying for broken windows and stolen radios or missing car, Anyway, it's a little dodgy around Loftus these days.
It's not so bad. It's not Ellis Park. Nudge, wink, wink.
True. Anyway,
listen, Chris, thank you very much. People, I'm going to put the links to the Rugby Center channel again in the description. I always do, but just make sure you're going to go watch Chris's color commentary and and the likes. You'll enjoy it. I go watch it. That's when I noticed he told me his on-air sign was broken. He's managed to fix it now. So now we know he's back live and back on air. So thanks, Chris. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
This is the Rugby Ascendant Podcast with Mvia Velman and Chris Wyatt.